Welcome to Mt.SAC Athletic Central. I'm Brooke Barber.
And I'm Robert Deanda.
And here on campus, this semester is winding down, so we will be bringing you some professional updates in the sports world.
Yes, the NBA Finals starts on Thursday between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And today we'd like to give a few predictions on what we think might happen. Whether it's the Cavaliers winning or the Golden State Warriors, who do you have?
I love Golden State Warriors. They have a fast offense, and they're a younger team. However, I do give it to Cavaliers. They have been doing an amazing job this season, and they're being led by one of the most career-dedicated and prestigious player, LeBron James. He is one of the few players that has actually gone to the NBA Finals 5 consecutive years, 4 years with the Miami Heat, and then this first year back at Cleveland, he has led them to the finals. So it looks like it's going to be a really competitive game. I have no doubts about that. I think it's going to be really close. I predict that the final score is probably going to be 92 to 95. I feel like it's going to be really close.
One possession game or something like that.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think LeBron James, I do think he's the player of the decade. Will go down as maybe the best player ever, statistically especially. But I don't think in the East, so since the East is so weak compared to the Western Conference, I don't think LeBron has faced any teams that have the capable defenders that Golden State has. They have Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, even Harrison Barnes might be able to defend LeBron. So he hasn't faced this caliber of defense yet. And then take the defense into account, and then add the MVP of the league, Steph Curry, to the equation. And they have home court advantage throughout. So I see Golden State pulling this series out, I want to say, in 6 games.
I do agree with you that the conferences are definitely not the same, but I do feel that the Cavaliers will make their correct adjustments in the game. You cannot get this far in this sport without making those types of adjustments. And I have confidence that the Cavaliers will make the proper adjustments, and I still give game 1 to Cavaliers, hands down. I really do feel like they're going to start off strong.
So how many games do you think it's going to take the Cavaliers to win?
I predict 6. I kind of hope for a 7 because it would just be one of those epic games of the century, maybe.
Yeah. So who do you think would be the Finals MVP then if the Cavaliers win?
LeBron James. You have to give it to him. He's declared himself the king. You can't blame him either because he's come from Miami Heat, taking them to the playoffs, and his first season with the Cavaliers, he's brought them to the finals. That just speaks in itself. So he's definitely an influential player, and I think he's just one of those strong leaders in the NBA in general who deserves to be named MVP.
All right. Well, I think if I'm taking Golden State in 6 games, like I said, and it might be the easy choice, but if Golden State does win the series, I'm going to say it's going to be Steph Curry having to light it up like he has been all season. I don't think his streak will break. He might have one off game because he relies so much on three-pointers. Sometimes they're just not going to fall. But he will get it on track, and I think he'll end up as the Finals MVP. So I'm taking the Warriors in 6.
If they do win, I do agree with that. I feel like he's just a strong, dedicated player. When after you got that head injury during the last...
That nasty fall.
Yeah, oof. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen a player ever do a somersault in the air before.
And then to come back in the game, that's hard right there.
And I think that's really a blessing that he got to be able to come back with so many regulations due to head injuries. I do love that the league and more professional college and high school sports leagues are taking this serious about head injuries, but it was very fortunate that he was able to come back.
Thankfully. Well, let's take a different path to the NFL now. The NFL is 24/7, 365. There's always something happening, whether it's in season or not. So, and during the busy NFL offseason, what do you think is the biggest story so far?
Adrian Peterson definitely coming back right now. That's always just been a controversy that has not gone away yet. There are still so many questions, so many concerns, and what should the NFL league do about it? How should they handle it? He was suspended, but bringing him back and everything like that. It just raises a lot of questions. The NFL is a very influential league, and
the biggest league in this nation. regardless.
Yes, definitely.
I just find it I'm very curious to see if he will in fact play for the Minnesota Vikings this year, because before the draft there was a lot of speculation on whether he would play for the Vikings or he would be traded on that day or regardless. Mm-hmm. But some teams like maybe the Arizona Cardinals, they were thinking of trading for, supposedly they were thinking of trading for Adrian Peterson, but in fact they did draft David Johnson in the draft. So the only team that I think would maybe make a play for him would probably be the Dallas Cowboys, because they didn't address the running back issue. But any team that Adrian Peterson plays for, he's an upgrade at any team.
I'm not taking away the fact that he is not an influential player in the game. I just feel that the whole child whipping situation, I just feel that is just a different part of the game, you know. Do fans support him in his career? Definitely, most definitely. You can't take anything away from this guy. But as far outside the game, he is an influence, and, you know, there are young players, young kids who look up to him. So we'll just have to see how that plays out and which team is willing to take on that type of controversial player.
If you were an NFL owner, would you try to trade for him, or is he a player that after those accusations
if I was personally coached, that is not a player I would want to associate my team with, just because, you know, there are just some lines you do not cross, especially with a child that cannot defend themselves. You know, that is just my own personal stance. I definitely think everyone has a right to their own opinion, and I know Adrian Peterson, you know, I'm not trying to take his job away or anything like that. I just feel that in my own perspective, if I was a coach, I would not take on that controversial player. You put yourself in that situation, you need to harbor the consequences.
Well, speaking of controversy, how do you feel about the controversy with the Deflategate and Tom Brady with the New England Patriots?
Oh, that's going to be very interesting, because he did get suspended for the first 4 games of the season, and, you know, I know he is going to appeal that judgment. Mm-hmm. However, I don't see it getting overturned. It's still one of those things, hey, did they win because of the whole football scenario? But I necessarily don't believe that. I think that they did win the Super Bowl on their own terms. You know, you can't take anything away from the players. Yeah, the balls may have been a little deflated, but that still doesn't take away all the other stuff they did. Their defense, their offense, you know.
Yeah, they were the more dominant team, especially in the AFC Championship when the Deflategate was released. They didn't throw for 400 yards to win the game. They pounded the rock. They won with good defense and a running game. So I'm not going to hold that against them. But the 4-game suspension, he's appealing it on June 23rd. And if that appeal is not heard, or he does have to serve this 4-game suspension, it really could hurt the Patriots and their possible playoff picture, because they play their first 4 games are with the Steelers, Jaguars, a divisional game with the Bills, and the Cowboys. And so they could come out of that 1-3 without Tom Brady, arguably the best quarterback ever. So their team really could be affected, and they lost a first-round pick and lost, I want to say they were fined $1 million too. So they faced really steep charges for this accusation, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to see, and I'm excited to see how the league also handles that as well. And fans too, I want to know how they respond to it. Like, I don't believe that Tom Brady's lost a fan base.
No,
not
he's
at all.
Still widely supported, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you guys, right now we're going to throw it to Nick Escalera. He's doing an in-studio interview
with David Roman, a baseball player playing for